Okay, I'm Ian Millard. I'm from Innovate UK. Innovate UK, it's the innovation agency of the UK. We are tasked by government with driving innovation and moving the UK forward. So what's the problem? The UK's got some world-leading universities. It's got some real innovators. In the UK, we have no problem with some great research, some great inventions. We've got hundreds of thousands of small companies with great ideas. So we've got everything you'd think would be there to drive through to some great inventions and some great companies. London is a great financial centre. So we have loads of sources of venture capital, loans. Getting a loan in London is easy if you meet the right criteria. The problem is, the funders want something that's relatively low risk, a risk they understand. They really want a product that's there and something that's proven. The idea's been proven, it's sort of there, it's ready to go. Great, the money follows straight away. The problem for any small company is how to get that lead customer. So within Innovate UK, we do a lot to fund companies. So we put a lot of grants into companies. We help connect companies. We connect companies to universities. We do a lot to build that infrastructure. But one other thing that we do is a program called SVRI. It actually stands for Small Business Research Initiative. But that's mainly so it looks like the US program, SBIR, because it's a very similar principle. So SBRI, it's a structured process. It enables the public sector to connect with innovators. And as far as the public department is concerned, number one item is helping them to fulfill their objectives. Government departments are very good at procuring boxes. They have a very competitive process for that. They have it down to a fine art. Procuring innovation really mystifies them, and they usually get it wrong. They try and really define what the solution should be, and then try and procure against that. So getting something that helps them fulfill their objectives by linking them with innovators is one of the prime requirements of the SBRI process. From a UK perspective, we also want to accelerate commercialization of technology. So we want to pull that technology forward, get it into products, get it into companies, build those sort of companies. And the third point, develop innovative companies. Give them a lead customer. Give them an R&D partner. Help them build their business. By having a lead customer, it gives them funding to build a prototype and to prove that, but it also gives them some credibility. A financier is much more likely to put money into a company if it's got a government department wanting to buy their product, and has helped them identify everything about their market. So the key features of our SBRI process, it's engaging with innovative companies and procuring the R&D to do one of two things. Either help the government department buy something which they need, but which they can't find anywhere in the marketplace. If it's normal procurement, we don't get involved with that process at all. They know how to buy boxes. But if there's something not available at all on the marketplace, this is a process for them to find that novel solution. Alternatively, government departments often want to influence the market. They want a product to be available, but there's nothing there. And so they say, oh, wouldn't it be really good if such and such was there on the marketplace, but it's not. So this is a second part of SBRI, is trying to help government departments launch the right sort of products that they would like to have there to meet their policy objectives. SBRI sits halfway between the grants you normally see and traditional procurement contracts. It's a development contract, but it's 100% funded. So it's not grant-based, it's not a research grant, it's a development contract to build something and prove that it works. It sits under EU pre-commercial procurement, so it's outside of state aid, it's outside the normal EU procurement rules. It gives you a lot of flexibility about how you procure that, and it gives the government department a lot of flexibility on how they procure it and what they procure. The big problem we have with the government departments is convincing them that the IP must remain with the company. Whenever a government buys anything and they pay for the whole development, they expect to own that IP. It takes a long time to explain to them that if they do that, the real innovators will never even apply in the first place. They'll just walk a mile away. And we had a gentleman from Hyperloop earlier on said he doesn't really want to deal with government, and that's why. Government interferes with the process, they try and take all the IP, they kill the whole thing dead. So the key thing about the SBRI process is the whole of the IP remains with the company. We even put in our draft contract, we have a clause which encourages them and says they must exploit that IP. They can't just do it and sit on it. We're putting that money in as a government to fund that IP, to grow that idea, and to make it into something real. Within our standard contract, again, we keep some usage rights to the public sector, and that just keeps the public sector procurers happy that they do get indefinite rights for them to use it, but the IP stays with the company. So it's a fully open competition. The public sector sets the challenge. So they say, we have this problem. This doesn't exist, or we can't do this. This is the problem. They normally try and then go on and say, and this will be the nice box that does that. And that's the bit we say, no, you don't do that. Say what your problem is, and then say, a solution that delivered these sort of deliverables would be great. But you stop them defining what the box should be, because that way you encourage the innovators. If you let the government define it, you'll just kill the innovators again, because innovators will just say, okay, you want that box, okay, we'll build that box. That kills innovation. So what Innovate UK do, we help them with that process. We advertise it through our channels. Innovate UK is dealing with most of the innovative companies within the UK. We have a big network. Innovate UK is over 250 people. We're giving grants out of over 400 million a year. So we're linked into most of the companies and universities within the UK. And so we use that network to let people know about this competition. We assess all the applications, and the most promising ones get development contracts. You're buying innovation, so again, it's convincing the government department, this is risky. And yes, sometimes you have to take risks. It's not always good to de-risk everything before you buy it. So we go through this two-phase process. Phase one is proof of concept. And typically for an SBRI contract, it'll be 6 months, it might be £50,000, but you take several on. You award, say, half a dozen companies, all with different ideas, a contract. You let them all run in parallel and see which one comes out the best. And the best one or two, normally, you give them a phase two contract to actually go prove their product and build it into a full working prototype and demonstrate they actually do have a real product. So it's that two-phase process, that de-risks it. It means if nobody's got a solution, you can kill it at the end of phase one. It means you keep bringing on the innovators, because typically in a competition, you'll get some people bidding what you expected. It's the obvious solution. But you always get 10, 20% completely off the wall. And it's often one of those that comes through with the real world-breaking solution. And that's the one you have to encourage, and that's what this process is designed to do. So what do Innovate UK do? We champion the process right across government. This is not mandated across government, so it's our job to go sell it to government departments and convince them this is good for them. We do that by making it easy for them. So we're the process owner. We set a standard right across government. We developed a full set of documents and templates. We have a full standard contract and a full ITT. So we'll sit down with the government department and condense the problem into a couple of pages of text. This is the problem. This is what the outcome should look like. And that's it. That's as much as they need to do. We have a whole contract pack which wraps around that. From the SME's point of view, the application form is typically 11 or 12 pages long. Not the 200 pages you get for some of the EU procurements. It's 11, 12 pages. Tell us what your application, what your solution is. Tell us why it's good. Tell us why it's innovative. Tell us why there's nothing else in the market that quite matches it. And that's how you're scored, against that sort of criteria, not against a whole bunch of artificial criteria. We help the government department define the competition, the problem. We'll sit with them, because it's a very alien process for a government department. So we'll sit down with them, and we've got about 150 innovators or tech leads within Innovate UK who understand their marketplace. There's somebody within Innovate UK who will understand this marketplace, what's happening, where the buzz is, and help the government department refine the problem so they can put it into something that can be issued as an ITT. We advertise it. We can even run the whole process for them. We have a full competitions team. We run the process end to end. So I've just done one with international development, and they had to do nothing apart from agree what the scope, what the problem was. We defined the problem. We've written the whole process for them. We've run the whole competition for them. We're even awarding the contracts for them. They're just giving us the money to go do that. It's made it as simple as it possibly could be for them. It's really simple for the innovators, and we had a great response to that one. So since 2009, over 10,000 companies have applied for funding. 2,400 contracts have been awarded, that's a fair bit of money. 320 million pounds, what's that, 4 billion kroner? And that's just tip of the iceberg. We're not probably doing 0.5% of government procurement yet. If we can get to 1% of government procurement through its innovative route, then we'd probably quadruple that quite quickly. We've got most of the public sectors engaged, and we're building on that all the time. The two big ones, as you'd expect, are health, who have a lot of problems. That came up earlier on today. Health need to solve a growing number of problems. Every year the number of problems grows, expectations grow, and therefore they have to keep finding new innovation. Defence is growing as well. I'm finding a lot of interest in defence now, but it's taken us a while to convince them. Impact. Innovate UK measures impact ourselves. We interview all the companies we work with to find out what the impact of our support was, and we do it right across every single programme that we do. But we also get independent assessments, so I had one done by the Manchester Business School, and that said 2/3 of the contracts were actually won by SMEs, which is great, because there's no definition of who can apply, it's on to anybody. So it was great that 2/3 went to SMEs. It's great to see that most of them are seeing some sort of revenue growth quite quickly. And it's good that the majority saw that the support actually made it easier for them to obtain finance, because that is a key thing. Once you have a working product and you've demonstrated that a government department is interested in that, then you get much more support from the financial side. This is one example, just to give you a flavour of how it works. In that top left-hand box is the problem. It's the Department of Health one. So age-related macular degeneration and diabetic retinopathy are two diseases of the eye, tend to be affecting older people more. There is no cure for either. The bill is growing all the time, and it's estimated now that if everybody was treated with current treatments, the bill to the UK Health Department would be over £1 billion per year. They're struggling to fund that. That is a really big issue. That is a definition of the problem. Throw it open, see what comes in. The winning company, a company called Polyphotonics, when they won this, I think there was 8 people in the company, and they made specialised organic LED displays, nothing to do with the health industry. They were in a completely different market space, but they were doing inventive things with LEDs. They got connected up with a professor at the university who has a great idea, does some great research on what might be and what the problem was with these two diseases and why they were an issue. And the invention is a sleep mask. So the person wears this mask at night time when they're sleeping, because this is when it's found out the diseases progress the most. So you put the mask on at night time, it stops the disease. It doesn't cure them, but it stops it dead. And it's a fraction of the price. It's not 10% of what the previous cost was. So this could probably save around about £900 million a year if this is rolled out, which is being rolled out at the moment. That's just one project. We're trying to do 200 or 300 of these a year. Now, okay, most innovators, what they do won't line up. But for a lot it does. And the ones that do, the feedback is always, this is great. You've taken us from a one-man company or a four-man company with a great idea into a fully programmed prototype, fully funded, and from then on, it's easy. Last slide. Earlier on today, we talked about EU pre-commercial procurement and Horizon 2020. So the EC developed the PCP process. It's a way of working through the rules regarding procurement. It's that fine line between state aid and being open and meeting all the GATT treaties and everything else. Pre-commercial procurement fits in that nice gap. So the current scheme across Europe is Horizon 2020. It's a great scheme. As you saw, there's 70 billion euros going into it. It's a massive scheme. It's something we've been very involved with. So we've been involved with PCP right from the very start. Within Innovate UK, we coordinate the very first PCP project because we were involved with all this in 2008, 2009. And so Silver is the very first PCP process. It's a special project because in addition to doing the normal project, we're also writing a set of documentation to explain how PCP should work across the rest of Europe. So we do have that special leading edge into PCP. And we're now at phase 3 on that one, awarding the final contracts on phase 3. So it's a great source of funding. If you can get a PCP contract, if you can get that sorted out, it's great. But don't expect it next week. The problem with the PCP funding, it takes, in the last application form I looked at, a group I was working with, it was about 300 pages by the time they printed the whole thing out. It's a huge amount of work to put it together. There's a long delay before you finally get the contracts, and then there's a huge amount of paperwork all the way through. If you have the stamina for that as an organisation, as a procuring body, that's great. You compare that with the SBRI process. We can normally have a competition open within 4 weeks of agreeing a budget and a problem to be solved, and we can have the first people contracted normally within about 3 months. It's probably a year earlier, a year and a half earlier than you would do with the PCP. They're both great ways of working. We really like the whole PCP process. It's a great way of doing stuff. It takes, both of them take you through to a prototype, which is what the make or break for a small company. Okay, thank you very much.